Hey everyone, my name is Randall McDonald, and today we'll be looking at the Alabama Bandmasters Association High School Timpani Etude. Now before we get into this piece, I want to talk about some very important general setup rules for timpani. Now when it comes to playing timpani, you can either sit or stand, but for this piece specifically, I would highly recommend sitting down because of the tuning changes. Now, I like to use a 3-foot tall stool, and you can use an adjustable one like this. But what you really want is for your feet to be able to reach the pedals in order to get the tuning changes in time. Now, when I'm sitting down, I'm sitting on the very edge of my stool with my feet flat on the floor. So that way, I have no trouble reaching the pedals. Now, keeping the pedal in mind, the distance of the drums away from your feet really do matter. So you can adjust any way you want, just as long as it helps you with tuning in the most efficient way possible. And if you do adjust the timpani, make sure you put on the locks. Now in this piece, we go from pianissimo all the way to forte. So we want a great general mallet that will help create all those dynamics. I would highly recommend the innovative series, the CT3 or CT4 series. Those are all great general mallets. I would also recommend the T1 Vic First series. So our first measure is a nice forte piano roll. So we will create that effect by striking the drum with a nice full but relaxed legato stroke. And then we will immediately begin that roll towards the center of the drum and gradually go outwards. The most important part of the next two measures are the accents, which help set up the triplet fill of this piece. Now, a general rule of timpani playing is to not double on any drum. So everything we play, we want to be a single. So check out measure 6. The rhythm here is kind of tricky. We want to wait till the and of 2 to start those 16 notes. I'll play it really slow. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. Now, in measures 7 and 8, the rhythm here will be kind of tricky. So I would recommend starting on a pad and just playing the rhythm. 1, 2, 3. And then go to the drums and start at a very slow tempo with a metronome and work your way up. What's also important here is the accents. That was set up in measure 3, so it's important to bring those out as well. Now in measure 12 and 13, we have a very long decrescendo. To make that very effective, we really only want to start the decrescendo in measure 13. So for the majority of measure 12, we want to keep that at a nice forte. And we can slide in further towards the center of the drum because at measure 14 all the way to measure 18, the right hand is really the main melody. So we want to keep the left hand out of the way. At measure 18, if you decide to play towards the center of the drum in your left hand, it's important that you go out to the playing field as we start that crescendo. Now let's look at the trickiest part of this piece, the tuning changes. So at measure 20, we want to go ahead and get our feet as close to the pedals as possible. And when we strike the drum, the F, at 21, we want to make sure we hold that out for a whole note. Now as we strike it, we want to change the B flat to an A. And then mute the drum at measure 22. And then at 22, we want to change from an F to an E flat. Now it's important to keep a good pulse of rhythm as you're doing this. So as we're practicing this section, use a metronome. Now on most timpani, the gauges are not completely correct. So you don't want to rely on them completely when doing these really quick tuning changes. So you want to practice seeing how much you will have to move your foot on the pedal to get that correct note. So after we change our notes, it's important to know what they look like on the page. The F and the B flat were on the lines and the staff. Now they're in the spaces. So it's important to know that all the notes now are in the spaces. And the E flat is still on the 23, and the A is still on the 29. Now at measure 25, the sticking here is very important. Until the last two notes, I'm doing alternating sticking. notes on the A and the C, I'm doing with the right hand. So back, right, left. So that way I can end with the left hand. Now in 26, I'm going to have to mute the 32 drum, the F, so that way as I play the A, it won't bleed into the A sound. And the same thing going in from the C to the E flat. So now at measure 27, we have a subito piano. This is different than a forte piano, as in we want to, after we strike the first note, the E flat, we want to immediately become piano. And then we want to mute the drum and allow a space of time for that breath mark before we play the last 5 notes. And for that last roll, we can stretch it out rhythmically for dramatic effect. I hope this video was very helpful, and I wish you the best of luck on your audition. You're going to do great.